Hey there, guys. This is Sam from GamersRapture.com, and today I'm lucky enough to be joined by Jason from YouTube channel 3KB. This is an interview I've been mentioning for a while on the channel, so I'm really glad that I finally got the opportunity to do it. And so I'll just start off by saying to Jason a massive thank you for coming along, and yeah, I really appreciate you taking the time.
Well, yeah, no problem at all, man. I know that I took quite some time to actually get a hold of here, but I'm more than happy to do these interviews for everyone.
Yeah, it's great that you've come along. Why don't you just start by giving everyone just a brief overview of what 3KB is all about?
Well, 3 kilobytes is really about, well, what's kind of interesting about that question now is I used to say it was about just video games and film and sort of geek related topics, but lately we've really taken the channel in a more interactive level with the fans. So
Yeah.
it's kind of changing as it goes. But in October, we're kind of relaunching 3 kilobytes more more so as a gaming community network,
Okay.
opposed to just being a review show.
Yeah. So
Um,
how exactly is that going to work? Is that sort of a new channel? Is it all going to exist on the same? Is it just a YouTube channel, or are you going to integrate a website or anything like that?
well, basically, what's going to happen is our main channel will remain the same with reviews.
Yeah.
But you're just going to notice a lot more content being uploaded to our main channel that's community focused.
Okay.
So, for instance, we have a new show coming out called NewsBytes,
Yep.
and what that is essentially it's a video game and film and again and geek sort of related news show where we're going to talk about the topics that we want to talk about.
Yep.
But what's unique about it is, and the reason we haven't done it yet is because we've tried to come up with an idea that would benefit our viewers as well. For instance, channels like yours, and even just a regular viewer who doesn't have a channel.
Yeah.
We wanted to be able to create almost this sort of open topic where they can record video responses to all of our videos that we post.
Okay.
And then, yeah, then what we're going to do is actually collect those. And at the end of each month, we're going to make sort of an index video of all of the people that are involved in that network, regardless of how big it gets.
Okay. So it is basically focusing directly on the community.
Exactly. First and foremost, it's a review show. Second of all, it's a news show. And then third, we want to make the community more upfront. Like I get a lot of people asking for shout outs and whatnot. So this sort of um, I mean, in a certain way, it's hard for us to give everybody a shout out because
Yeah.
so many people ask.
Yeah.
But I think that I've come up with a way that really puts the power into the community's hands. So we're happy to shout you out, but you're gonna have to go and make those video responses and do the work to get known.
Okay. So it's just sort of the sort of deal where people post responses and then the best ones will be collated into one video at the end.
Well, not necessarily that. Actually, all of the video responses that are attached to say we put a Monday news episode up and we ask a question,
Yeah.
all of the gaming community, if they want to answer it in a video form, then we'll actually add that to that news bites, that episode. So anybody can get onto it,
Okay.
and get known because we're going to accept all video responses as long as they have to do with what we're doing that day.
Yeah,
And
well, that sounds like a great idea because you don't often see that sort of. You have a lot of channels doing news, but you don't often see that level of community involvement.
exactly. And then the second idea would be we take all of the channels that actually recorded video responses. I'm going to make a list.
Yeah.
And at the end of the month, everybody that was involved basically gets a major shout out in a video. And that video is also for the community to be able to look around and see who's getting involved and check out their channels. And we'll say a little bit about each channel. We'll do a little research about them. And then that way, we have sort of a community based show where I don't necessarily it's not really about the views, it's about bringing the people together because I don't think 3 kilobytes has ever been about views
Yeah.
or money or anything like that. It's slowly changing into sort of I feel like the community is almost dying
Yeah.
online.
Yeah, and you
Uh,
want to bring that community back then.
yeah, I just want to give them a place where they can come and not feel left out.
Yeah. Well, that sounds like a really great idea. When about are you planning on implementing that?
It should start by the end of October.
Okay, so quite
Well,
soon then.
Yeah, we're moving the studio downtown, so we have to get all set up, and so it's a couple months off, but that's one thing. And then I guess the second thing that we're going to start doing is sort of for our debate videos, we're going to start accepting video responses for those as well.
Yeah,
And then do sort of recaps every once in a while. So if somebody says something really smart that we overlooked, we're going to actually take that clip
yeah,
and feature it in one of our next debates and say sort of a recap of our last debate. This user said this and we agree with it, sort of type of thing. And that way that guy can get, a little exposure.
yeah,
And again, it's not just about comments, people commenting. I want people to get involved through video
yeah.
more so now.
Yeah, well, that sounds really great, actually. Something that I definitely want to do, and I'm sure everyone, all the fans of 3 Kilobytes want to get involved in that. Why don't we just go back right to the start of 3 Kilobytes channel? Your first video was a paranormal activity review, I believe.
Yeah.
So what was the decision, or why did you decide to make your first video on YouTube?
Um, I, to be honest, not a lot of people know this, so you're getting some exclusive 3KB news. But before 3 Kilobytes, there was a channel called Four Boys, and it was a skit comedy channel featuring Mike and I and two other people.
Yeah,
And we made one episode, and it did okay
yeah,
for starting out, but it was just impossible to film those episodes. So we kind of quit that, but it was online, and I don't know if anyone's seen it, but I'm not even going to say what it was about. But um, I think if we ever release a DVD, we might put it on there. But um, we we kind of disbanded that channel,
yeah,
and my friends. This is kind of funny because I don't mention this ever, but my friends were always kind of skeptical about YouTube, and they thought it was a waste of time. And I always had this feeling that if I joined YouTube, that I could be somebody on YouTube. Like
yeah,
I just felt like I could do something that people would want to watch.
yeah.
And to be honest, 3 Kilobytes started based on that to prove them wrong.
Okay.
So I mean, initially that's what kind of we were like, well, let's start something, let's do something. But what really happened was Paranormal Activity was opening in Toronto before it opened anywhere else in the world, I believe, by
Yeah,
a week. Or like 20 different cities had it a week early, and we were lucky enough to get tickets to it. And we thought, well, no one else is going to have a review online, so let's just review Paranormal Activity.
yeah,
And, because it looks amazing. We're huge, horror nuts. Let's do
yeah.
this. And then it became kind of clear to us, well, we have an opportunity to sort of kickstart things here. Why don't we just turn it into a review show and just for fun review things that we're interested in?
Yeah. So did it start off just with the vision of being a movie channel, or were you always going to incorporate the video game aspect to it?
Well, believe it or not, it was always going to be sort of a review show,
Yeah.
but um, I don't think it was so planned out. It was more, it was more on the lines of like we said, let's do Paranormal Activity, but we didn't really know what we were going to do past that point. We
Yeah.
just kind of knew it would be reviews,
Yeah.
more than likely for video games as well because we're huge gamers. But um, I think, Kat was on the show before we started it. She couldn't film the first week, so that's why she's not in the first 5 or 6 episodes.
Yeah. And you said that your motivation was to prove people wrong. At what point did you sort of change from that, or does that still drive you on? And when did you change from trying to prove people wrong to sort of developing the channel as its sort of own channel?
Well, I think probably after the first 6 episodes when we realized that there was sort of a community that would watch our show.
Yeah.
Um, I don't think I've ever felt that I've still needed to prove myself in that regard.
Yeah.
I kind of got over that really quick.
Okay.
But I think what still drives us on the channel is, when you start off on YouTube, and you're probably aware of this, you're always wanting more. You always think when you start on YouTube, it's about views and subscribers. But I
Yeah.
think as we've grown as a channel, we've realized it's more about content, and we've kind of stopped looking at the numbers. Like, yes, we'll look at the numbers to make sure things are going okay, but like when we put a video up and it only gets say 4,000 views opposed to 20 what we expected, we're not sitting there like, oh, this is the end of the channel. We just say, well, no big deal. But I think the most important thing is the content at this point on the channel, and that's why we're focusing more on the community, because that's what YouTube really is about.
Yeah. So would you rather have so it sounds to me that you rather have sort of, say, a smaller channel. You've got over 20,000 subscribers, so it's not exactly small, but a more community-based channel rather than sort of a very large channel where you don't have much interaction. Would I be right in saying that?
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. I don't. I'm kind of, to be honest, we're kind of worried that it's getting bigger and bigger, and
Okay.
it's kind of it's bound to happen.
Yeah.
But I mean, we're still going to be the same people, regardless of 20,000 or in a couple of years when we have like 60,000. I don't really see us changing that much because that's what our channel was always about. For instance, Machinima recently contacted us and wanted us to join their network, but we turned that down. The offer is great and all that, but I just don't feel like we fit in there, and it really goes against everything we've been planning.
Yeah. So that's really quite refreshing to hear that. You see a lot of YouTubers sort of doing it for, I guess, subscribers, and it sounds like you're really focusing on the content. Is sort of any partnerships like that with Machinima? Would you consider doing it with sort of a different group who may be more suited to your style?
We actually, to be honest, as I look around at different channels, unfortunately, it seems like a lot of them are driven about money and whatnot, and
Yeah.
views and subscribers, and they use sort of these tactics to get more views and whatnot. But I kind of like, I've kind of found sort of a little network of Canadian YouTubers that are on the same page as us. For instance, Video Games Awesome,
Yeah.
um, and Happy Console Gamer.
Yeah.
Um, they're in the same realm as us. They've been contacted by companies to be picked up, and they've all turned them down. And I think the reason that is because we're all more community based, opposed to making it sort of a corporate thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
So is
you know,
is is the sort of the money aspect, or is that a worry for you? Is that something that you guys think about at all?
yeah, I mean, to be honest, we think about the money all the time because we spend more than we make
Yeah.
on the show. And a lot of people, there's like a misconception that we make thousands of dollars, but really, we probably lose $200 to $300 to $400 a month doing the show.